All right, guys, it's Copper Cutlass. And today's subject is one of not a common topic, but everything I'm seeing on social media is just not good. What happened today is just mind-blowing. But on top of that, it's everybody voicing their opinion and where they're coming from, believing that they're correct. So, it's no different than the civil rights movement in the 60s. Somebody died for preaching what they believed. But you have the option to walk away. You have the option to walk away from my page and not watch if you choose, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. My whole tenure, if you will, in the hobby has been built on that. A lot of people, especially early on, for the guys who have followed me long enough, who remember the forum days when I was heavily on classic Oldsmobile, God, those arguments were epic. Those threads were great because I was trying to prove my point, and I would have argued against, despite the fact that I was making things work. I was still being told that it was wrong a lot. And then I think with this current engine combo, I squashed everything, and my forum days are really over because that's where the fun was at. It was proving people wrong. But it wasn't proving people wrong and telling them that they were wrong. It was just like, look, I did it. I did it. Somebody else has an option. It's not just one option. It's not just your way. They could try my way. It worked for me. And that's all I was ever trying to get across. I wasn't trying to change anybody's mind. I did learn a lot through that, believe it or not, because I kept an open mind. You see, I grew up in a household where my parents were very unpolitical and unreligious. And that was just, that wasn't because that's their stance on life. That's just because we were too poor to go to church because Dad had to work on Sunday, and politically, my dad didn't have time to involve himself in that stuff because he would work late. And I grew up around work. He would take me with, and I would tag along, and just, from an early age, I learned the dollar's worth. And, I tell people I skateboarded, I raced RC cars, I paid for all that. From a young age, I was, building model cars, all that stuff, I paid for all that. The only time I ever got stuff was like birthdays and Christmas, and that was it. Everything else, I paid for. I started working for my money at a very early age. And my dad came here in 1973, just a hair of background because it was a different time. And my dad does have a stance on some of the views with people that come here and get it easy. My dad had to walk around with a pocket translator and do his best to get by and survive. And he worked for the same company for 35 plus years and retired. And, you don't realize you kind of grow up poor until after the fact. And once your parents actually clue you into certain things, we certainly weren't sheltered, but we weren't told to just hang out with the other Mexican kids. If you haven't noticed, I'm Mexican. But so I got into skateboarding, and that also brought a lot of uniqueness because most of the people that skateboarded were white. All right, let's face it. The racial jokes were always around me, and I just scoffed them off. And the older I got, I think once people actually respect you, that all kind of subsides. And I think that's also partially acceptance, but it's also, I think, people changing their views and minds and thought processes. Because I can tell you that I've never once dealt with a racist incident at a racetrack, but I can certainly tell you at some point you're welcomed and at some point you're not, and you can tell to what degree you're welcomed and not. And I try to bridge the gap. I'm not going to change anybody's mind, but I try to bridge the gap because at the racetrack, I can tell you that the majority of the people there ain't me. And but I try to make friends with people and, in our 5th season of racing, I'm more part of the community there at the racetrack, but I think I've proven myself. And much like anything in life, you have to earn it. And respect isn't something that just comes off like that. And I believe in that because you know what? If the lion respected a zebra, they could literally live next door to each other. But that's not going to happen. That's real life. So the point of today's video is all about just STFU. In the automotive world, right now, what we have is a ton of sensationalism, and I'm tired of it. You got this great piston skirt design, and if it works for you, great. You know what? I'll tell you guys what I've told a lot of guys in the trade. I worked with a bunch of old dudes, and I kind of had to learn it the hard way because they try to make me do things the way they wanted, but I didn't want to do it if I didn't understand it. And they just wanted me to regurgitate what they did, and I didn't believe in that. And I would tell them, you've probably been banging your wife for 30 plus years the same way. Do you know if you're doing it right? Has she actually said anything? Have you asked her? Think about that. That's a really good analogy. That also pisses a lot of people off. Yes, it did take me a lot longer than most people to flourish in a shop, but it's for a reason. I wasn't going to take what these guys gave me for face value. And I know that my buddy Dave Meyer knows this firsthand. I think he's learned to understand that nobody processes information different. And you also have to be understanding of that because him and I are polar opposites, but we're best friends. Dave Meyer is one of my best friends. You know, he's done my cylinder heads and body work on his race car. And we get along just fucking great. He was the officiant at our wedding, my wife and I. But I think early on we did butt heads in the garage. But it takes time to learn to work with somebody and to understand that people are different. And the biggest thing I tell people is no two people think alike. And same deal is no two people are going to believe in the same thing. It's no different than politics. The most important thing is to just, if you don't like it, walk away. But with social media, now everybody can say whatever they want. And we've certainly have had our share of nasty comments on here. And for most of the part, if I don't indulge, they go away, and that's fine. But in the automotive world, what's going on right now is, and I hate it, it's the sensationalism of the BS. Like right now, the pages that I really like are like Brian Loans. I really like the Competition TV, the Legends series. I wish I did more of that stuff. I do like Freiburger's page. I really miss the whole roadkill kind of stuff. I do love Vice Grip Garage because it's actually entertaining. It's not, it's like, hey, let's fail together. Instead of like, we're just going to blow this up because that's what you guys want. You guys just want chaos. Well, the piston skirt debate is a perfect time right now, a perfect situation to tie the automotive world to what's going on in our country socially. You got people that are really divided over one stupid subject. Look, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Is anybody really going out of their way to actually prove it? That's the first question I have. Is there actually scientific tests? Is anybody actually going to do anything about it? Again, just like politics. But at the end of the day, if it works for somebody, it works. That's that. I don't have to question it. But I don't need to see 20 fucking videos on it. Or 20 videos on these fucking, on the current subject of today and the fucking sad shit that fucking happened and somebody lost their lives. Everybody on social media is jumping on the bandwagon to put their 2 cents in. I'm doing it for the fact of, dude, doing that, you take a strong stance on what you believe in. And now you're tying politics into what you do. And I'm very much against that because, again, I stand on the fence. And people have told me my whole life, if you don't believe in nothing, you fall for everything. But no, actually, somebody who stands on the fence has to be well balanced and look around themselves and be able to accept both sides because clearly they're not worth following for me. Same thing with religion. I could see where this one could be a little right, this one could be a little right, and this one could be a little right. But I'm not going to fall for any of them. So my whole point to this video is that I'm tired of really seeing pages out there with useless information. Like, I used to follow like Eric the Car Guy, but he's had a lot going on, and just that also kind of went the way of like his actual Honda Tech info was great. Those early videos were amazing, and then it became more of an influencer thing. And some of these guys that, you know, I follow have just, I get it, you have to make your money, and I'm not even trying to make money on this. This is why I do this the way I do it, because I want to be able to not have my hands tied behind my back just for product or clout or whatever you want to call it. But the fact that a lot of people on social media, on my social media, people I know, people I race with, guys with car pages, influencers, you name it, are standing so strongly about this one event. Yes, it is tragic, but the very fact that now you're in a way, the undertones are there, and everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I ain't trying to put words there, but I'm just going to say, let's just say the undertones are there. Yeah, the division is very strong in the hobby, and if you don't see it, let's just call it a spade. We're going to call a spade here, right? There's no place for politics in the automotive world. Look what it's done to NASCAR. Look what it's done to the NHRA. Look what it's done to any major sports. It's become politics. It ruins it. So don't let that happen to the automotive world. How about we just keep to ourselves and STFU? Keep that in mind. You don't have to voice your opinion. You can just shut up. You can just walk away and not be the person that alienates themselves because of what they believe in. Because it's getting tiring to see it. Like, and people don't want to be told to shut up, but that's what people have to do. Just shut up. Walk away. You know? You don't have to sit there and watch a train wreck. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it. And that's for anything, anybody, any side, any race, any color, you name it. Just shut up. Just walk away. You think you're going to change somebody? No, because at the end of the day, what's going on is everybody's trying to change what somebody believes or the way they are. This piston skirt debacle. Everybody's trying to prove something to somebody for no reason. Look, it either works or it doesn't. Engines work one way. There isn't many ways they can work. The internal combustion engine really hasn't changed much besides technology for efficiency over the last 100 years. You know? 4 strokes. That's it. Have they added any more that I don't know about? So people haven't changed. The technology around us has changed, and people are voicing their opinion, and just that's becoming really bad. Even in the car hobby, it's kind of saddening. I mean, look at what Motor Trend did to all these great shows. That's all politics within itself. Somebody said, "No, you know what? Chuck them." You know, again, nothing good comes from anything that pays to favoritism. In the NHRA, they're trying to be good to their sponsors and have good PR. And here comes the IHRA. We're just going to put on a damn good show, and we don't care. And they're picking up ground. The IHRA is coming around. The WDRA, we got a track nearby that's running WDRA. The payouts are great. Our home track is NHRA, and let's just say that attendance hasn't been that good. It doesn't pay to go run Division III finals. It barely pays anything to run Sportsman. You know? And for people to make that trip, you're not taking care of the people, you're taking care of your sponsors. And essentially, with social media and the car influencers, they're not taking care of their audience, they're taking care of their sponsors and or their beliefs. I mean, there's some really opinionated people in the car hobby. I hope I'm not one of them. I'm all for fuck it and let's find out. And certainly I have a way of doing things, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's just the way I do things, but I certainly don't push it because I have done things 100 different ways, probably 100 ways wrong and 100 ways right. So on that note, I hope you guys like this video. Share, like, subscribe. It's just mind-blowing to see that amount of politics in the car world around me. So I figured it was a big enough thing to bother me to actually say something about it. And I don't know if that's going to resonate with anybody. And if it pisses you off, then it is what it is. We'll see you around.